it's just what I've noticed with people that struggle with drugs or with anything else that has to do with, you know, I don't like to call it addiction. I like to call it avoidance.
Mhm.
You know, it doesn't matter whether it's like, I'll tell you what, one of these days, video games are going to be considered to be something that's pretty terrible for an addiction. You know, one of these things, like,
Yeah.
you know, like anything that's giving us that dopamine drip, and it, like that we can then also lose sense of time and not be present. The number of marriages and father situations that's dying because the father is like addicted to video games or seems to be avoiding video games. That's a whole other conversation. However, with your particular situation, there was some avoidance and some, you know, there were some addiction issues, as I recall. And the big issue is getting the family on board with recognizing, maybe not with your family, a lot of families, getting them to realize where their interpersonal relationship and communication and any usage of blame, shame, and judgment to try to coerce the loved one into conforming their behavior to that which the family believes is appropriate or less harmful, right? And really, those things end up being terrible because they've used money and other things almost as they've used money and other things as a way to they've used money and other things as a way to they've used money and other things as a way to it's the bag's right behind you there, John, in there, in the room behind you. Okay. And then we'll finish up here probably in a few minutes and come out. Yeah. But they use money and other things to try to almost, I don't want to say buy off the loved one, but it's almost like giving a person who has broken legs shoes, right? And then being surprised that they're not using the shoes correctly. Well, I gave them all these shoes. Why aren't they walking? They should be able to walk 100 miles or run a marathon, you know? And so we get stuck in a situation of providing the money or other things, and the person doesn't have the tools to even use them effectively. You know, I've heard families ridicule the loved one that has a drug problem or other avoidant problem, and be like, "Well, we gave him $200,000 a year jobs. He could have been doing anything he wanted, and he only did it for 6 months. And then you know what? He left that job. It's just like, you know, when a person doesn't even have the capacity to regulate their emotional state, and then and now you've got this job that you know that your loved one gave you, and if you screw this up, now you're really out. You know, the level of like of pressure that is when they don't even have regular coping mechanisms for everyday life. You know.